So guys, NIO might miss his target, and it's all for good reason. Partnerships and less cash burn. So hear me out. As of the end of 2023, NIO had 2,316 total swap stations, gaining 1,011 in 2023. Meeting the target of 1,000 new swap stations in 2023. Mission accomplished. They also had 21,049 power fast chargers as of the end of 2023. So very good achievement. Now, during NIO Day at the end of last year, William Lee also set out the target of 1,000 more swap stations in 2024, bringing the cumulative number to 3,310 plus, and chargers, 20,000 new chargers, bringing the cumulative number to 41,000 plus. Now, how are they doing so far? All right, we are more than halfway through 2024. As of the end of July 2024, they had 2,458 swap stations and 22,917 power chargers. So that means so far in 2024, up until the end of July, they have only gained 142 swap stations this year, or about 14.2% of the 1,000 swap station target, when it should be closer to 50%. In terms of chargers, they gained 1,868 as of the end of July in 2024, or 9.34% of the 20,000 new chargers that they should be closer to 50%. Is NIO deliberately missing the target? What is going on? Well, we have to rewind the clock back to March of 2024 when they just had the Q4 2023 earnings conference call held in March 2024. Well, during that conference call, all right, Tina Ho from Goldman Sachs, an analyst, asked the question, could you give us some CapEx guidance for 2024? What do you expect CapEx and swapping infrastructure CapEx? And Stanley Xu, which is Senior Vice President of Finance, said, hi Tina, yes sure, we will control our CapEx investment in 2024 like we already canceled a delayed project with the payback period longer than 2 to 3 years. More importantly, here he says, and generally the CapEx in this year will be significantly lower than 2023 regarding the deployment of our power swap stations. We will fully leverage the resources of our business partners for future expansion, as mentioned by William in previous statements. Yeah, that means he got cut off, but then he says, yeah, will not utilize our own resources to build that network. Yeah, thank you. Will not utilize our own resources? Yeah, for power swap stations networks, we'll minimize to use our own, meaning they'll be using resources from other people, letting other people pay for the swap stations. All right. And earlier in the conference call, William Lee said we have partnerships with energy companies like Sinopec and PetroChina for the construction of power swap stations, as well as with China's Southern Power Grid for energy storage, as well as power swap stations. So in general, NIO is pretty good at partnering up with the peers in the industry. Since the competition is inevitable, we would like to look at how we can navigate through the intense competition from the reasonability of the business perspective. And that just means that NIO is getting a lot of other people, all right, these guys, China, Southern Power Grid, and PetroChina, and Sinopec, and as well as local and provincial governments to build out swap stations. We know for a fact the Hefei government has promised 1,000 new swap stations in Anhui province alone by 2025, by the end of 2025. So that means that NIO is going to be lowering the CapEx by a whole lot. So we're seeing the deployment of swap stations and charging stations slow down. But that all seems to be deliberately done so that there's room for these other guys who have promised to build out swap stations for them to take action. And it's also probably because Gen 4 swap stations are just coming online and just becoming available from the swap station factory, and it's going to take some time for these other guys, these energy companies, to buy them, deploy them, assemble them, and make them available. Now, NIO has also shared some mind-blowing stats on the NIO app. So recently, NIO is, of course, they completed 50 millionth swap, which is quite amazing. And with that, they, of course, shared some pretty crazy information. So first of all, in general, battery swap has provided 2.62 billion kilowatt hours of electricity. And that's just amazing how much electricity has provided to all NIO owners. And more importantly is the time, all right, saving about 2.85 billion minutes of time in total. So on average, each NIO owner has saved about 85 hours. I know personally, because I have done over 250 swaps, I have saved over 8 days, about 7 days of time from battery swap compared to charging. Okay, and then in terms of money saved compared to gasoline, 20.3 billion RMB saved compared to gasoline. And on average, each NIO owner has saved around 36,000 RMB compared to a gas vehicle. Now, the next graphic shows the time it took to get this monumental achievement. So it took 1,506 days to get the first 10 million swaps. And then the next 10 million swaps only took 273 days. And the next 10 million swaps only took 189 days. The 10 million swaps after that, 157 days. And then 144 days for the most recent 10 million swaps. So you're seeing swapping picking up faster and faster. And it's just very clear that swapping is very, very popular. So swapping is the lifeline, the blood of NIOs. It's what makes NIO special. Its unique selling point. It's the most important thing for NIO, and them deliberately slowing down the deployment of these swap stations so that the partners have more time, so that they can utilize the resource of the partners to build out these swap stations is, of course, a genius move. Because at the end of the day, swap stations are very expensive to build. Each swap station is around a million RMB. Having these partner energy companies and governments, essentially with very deep pockets, build out these swap stations. They own these swap stations, but NIO operates them and adds them to the network. Of course, these energy companies buy these swap stations for the purpose of energy storage and grid stabilization. But of course, they also have the dual purpose of also earning some profit, earning some revenue from NIO battery swaps. So it is like the gas station of the future, but with so many more capabilities. So even though we're quite off from the targets of 2024, we've only achieved 14.2% for swaps and then 9.34% for chargers. We could totally see this number increase dramatically in the latter months of this year because of the partners all jumping in and deploying these swap stations, and those swap stations and charging stations coming online with those Gen 4 swap stations.